can do a lot of things, but this is going to allow us to do even more things. So here I am. I turned on the photo. There I am. And of course, we have our scroll on the bottom. We're doing all the things today, really trying to lean into this and do it better. So, and if you are a Small Scale Life podcast listener on your favorite podcast app, just know that I've got like 7 shows to upload. So it's going to be a binge-worthy slowdown season for you. Everything is going to pop up there and you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, I have so much to catch up on. And that is true. So I'm thankful for you for being here and sticking with us. And for our new audience members or our new people listening to the show, Small Scale Life, we're all about gardening. We're about wellness. We are about living next to a river. And what is that like? River life and feeding the birds and seeing all the animals and interacting and creating a really great habitat for them here right on the banks of the Willow River in western Wisconsin. So we are super happy you are here today. We're connecting with super cool people. We're traveling around. Travel is going to begin again, but I'm not really traveling until the new year. So we're not going to be doing a lot. Oh, we are going to be doing a cool trip right around Christmas, over Christmas, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to hopefully get Miss Julia on the show and we can catch up with her. She's got a really great thing going on right now. She's upstairs with our niece, Abby. They're doing a wedding appointment with a potential client. So yes, wedding season is back. Jules is back. It's super cool to see her start that journey again, because if you know Jules, that is her superpower. It is amazing what she can do with flowers, and she's so good with people and brides. She's so creative, and I'm so excited for her to start that again. Now, Tommy Cakes here, me. I am the lugger. I'm the happy husband that is unpaid staff and moves a lot of boxes and goes on these setups. So we'll just have to find balance with all of that. So anyway, glad you're here. Thank goodness you're here, and I'm really thankful for you, and welcome to the slowdown season. So what is that? We're going to explore how nature invites us to pause, reset, and realign our lives as we enter the quieter, colder months. Yes, and it is getting colder. It is like 1 degree right now. It's super cold. Can't golf or do any of those things. So I'm going to just stay in my office in the nest here and just do weird things. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to be talking to you. So yes, it is getting colder, and it is 1 degree right now. It feels like -4. Ooh, we are back in the cold stuff, right? So this is an invitation, though. We've got to see it in a different way. One, we can get outside and enjoy the cold weather and connect with nature, and that's super important this time of year. We do need to do that, but also we can turn inward and stay inside and study and think and reset and recharge and connect with people in our space, have people over, have a great meal. We can do all of those things. It's a chance to pause, reset, and realign our lives as we enter these colder months. And it's a perfect episode if you're feeling overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, it's the holiday season. It's the end of the year crush. Everybody wants a project done. Oh, work is crazy. We've been experiencing that here with some of the things Jules been doing with her job. She's definitely stretched thin, or maybe you're just, everything's going fine and you're just craving a more intentional, peaceful space and place and pace. And we are going to talk about that. The seasonal shift is happening. The slowdown season is now. And if you were feeling a little different this week, there was a seasonal shift going on. Did you feel it? Here at the landing, there was a definite shift in the weather and the energy. I mean, think about it. We woke up on Tuesday and it was -11 degrees Fahrenheit. -11. That's cold. That's super cold. And we usually don't get that kind of cold until like the second week of January. But hey, here we are. We got it now. Isn't that fun, right? And so a couple weeks ago, we were in long sleeve t-shirts, sweatshirts, and it was sunny. It was kind of cool. I mean, kind of cold, but not overwhelming. And then all of a sudden, boom, here we are, -11. So amazing. We had cold weather and the snowstorms, and it's really pushed the birds into our feeders. I've been noticing it. I'm filling up my feeders every couple days, if not every day. The birds and the squirrels, we do have squirrels coming into our tube feeders that are filled up with black oil sunflower seed. They're cleaning them out, and it's getting cleaned out to the last seed. They are super hungry. So I see filling my feeders as part of the daily routine and chores here. It's kind of like the farmer going out, right? The homesteaders and farmers go out and they tend the chickens and the cows and the pigs and other livestock and things. And I tend to my wild backyard birds. They're not giving me eggs or meat or anything like that, but it's something that I see as part of my daily routine to keep my birdies coming in and keep them happy. They are helping me. They're helping me along with Tommy Cakes Birdseed, my little company. They are my sales staff. So I'm giving them some delicious suet cakes, suet donuts, seed cakes, seed donuts, and all kinds of creations that I'm experimenting with this season. It's been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy the birds coming in. So like I said, I'm giving bonuses to my sales staff. And if you actually could see my studio right now, the nest, I've got the blinds drawn, so I'm not going to get distracted like the last show. I was like, oh, there's Happy, the red-bellied woodpecker. Oh, hey, the crows are here. And I know there's 2 crows that are hanging out in the backyard and actually eating Tommy Cakes suet. So it was really cool to see them come in and eat those out of a suet log. Man, they're so cool and really interesting and intelligent birds. So I was just telling Jules that they have the intelligence of like a young person, like an 8-year-old, 7-year-old. So it's really amazing how smart these birds really are. And you know, I'm just going to see where it takes us. They've been coming in almost every day, so I'm going to keep my feeders with some treats for them, just for them, and we'll see where that takes us. So some of you might be saying, oh my God, is feeding these birds worth it? It's expensive, and it's just another thing, and I just forget about the birds. Is it worth it? And I can tell you, yes, it absolutely totally is for me. You know, when we moved here a couple of years ago, well, this is our 3rd winter here, and started feeding the birds, we would get, you know, like a male or female cardinal, maybe some chickadees, maybe some juncos, and a woodpecker or 2. But now it's like the zoo back there. We're getting all kinds of birds here in the winter. We had 5 types of woodpeckers. That's the pileated woodpecker, the big one, like woody woodpecker, northern flickers, which are the second biggest woodpecker, really beautiful birds. The red-bellied woodpecker, hairy woodpeckers, downy woodpeckers. We have not gotten the red-headed woodpeckers, and I'm really holding out for those. I really want to get one in the backyard. We've had chickadees, nuthatches, starlings, juncos, crows, and cardinals. And in fact, we had 3 female cardinals and 2 male cardinals in our feeders yesterday. It was super cool. You know, for going from just a pair to now more. So I think that is a success. That is a win. We are adding to the habitat here. We are adding birds to, yes, we're spending a little bit more on birdseed, but I'm buying the birdseed anyway for my little business. So I'm happy to do it. Also, I was looking at our shoreline the other day, and I watched juncos and house sparrows foraging on the shoreline, and they're eating different seeds from the plants that we left. Some of the weeds, right? We left some of those plants there. They were totally covered with seeds, and those birds are coming in and eating those as well. And that is awesome. That's what we want. It's a huge win. We are improving the habitat here and attracting more and different birds. They're foraging, they're building nests, they're sticking around, and that brings me a lot of joy and recharges my batteries. So it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. You should try it. You should try some Tommy Cake seed, right? And if you think about it, you know, we live in this crazy mixed up fake banana world. That's what I call it. So it's a fake banana. You ever see one of those? Back in the days, we had a fruit bowl in the middle of our table, and it was like plastic fruit. It was the weirdest thing you've ever seen. And there was a fake banana in there, and you're looking at it going, why am I got this fake banana? But that's what we had, and that's what we have going on here. If you're watching the news, oh my God, it's a complete disaster. Whatever is happening in DC and around the world, it's a dumpster fire, and it is raging. And you need something to fall back on when you detach. you got to do something else. And I say watching the news and listening to the news and sometimes getting caught up in all this TikTok stuff, it's like being dipped in acid and they're holding your head under the water or under the acid for a while. And it's just like painful. It is very painful. So for me, it's part of the slowdown season is feeding the birds. Another thing that keeps me grounded, gardening, making delicious foods for our birds and for us. I really enjoy that. Kayaking, floating on the water, fishing. These are the things that calm me, that ground me, that recenter me. And right now, feeding the birds and making delicious foods are two of those things because, well, I suppose we could do fishing, but not yet because the ice isn't ready. So this is all part of this slowdown season. Especially feeding the birds and delicious foods and just kind of grounding in. So, this week was also special. So there's this energy shift going on. And that was, if you noticed, we had the last full moon of 2025. A little coffee here because it's delicious. The December full moon is called the cold moon. And it's the last super moon of 2025. It's the last full moon of 2025. Of course, here at the landing, we had cloudy skies and snow. So we didn't see the full moon on the day, but we did get to see it the night before. It was really cool. I was sitting here at my desk looking out at the river, and I've got my gateway down to the shoreline, and that moon was coming up right over the trees right in the middle of the gateway. And it's like, oh, that's super cool. It's really cool stuff. So I did add a couple videos to the Small Scale Life TikTok channel and the Small Scale Life YouTube channel with the moon coming up over the river. Super cool. And that full moon has some spiritual significance to it. It's stillness, it's release, it's clarity, and inner reflection as the year ends. That moon is illuminating things in the dark, right, in our shadow. So it brings in that inner reflection. And of course, it is also about, it was a full moon in Gemini and Sagittarius for communication and wisdom, encouraging honesty, sharing insights, and preparing for new beginnings after a period of intense and emotional cleansing, urging rest and trust in inner growth before the winter deepens. So have we had some intense energy and stress here at the landing or across the country in the past year or even in the past few months? I'd say yes, right? Hell yes. We had the 43-day government shutdown, which was crazy. And if you were watching the podcast on the video or listen to the podcast, a Small Scale Life YouTube channel, the end of the shutdown happened when I was broadcasting. So that was kind of cool, right? And then Jules has been working in the benefits re-enrollment period through her job. And oh my goodness, it has been just intense. Intense is not even cutting it. It's not even close. It's been so intense. And she's been holding on for dear life as that season kind of comes to close. So yes, it's time for a reset, for recharging, for a pause, right? So looking deeper into this cold moon, we see some elements that are part of the slowdown season that we're going to get to, right? Stillness and rest. It's a time to honor the body's need to slow down and conserve energy, reflecting winter's quiet growth. Just because it's cold outside and things are frozen doesn't mean everything's dead. Things are happening. We just can't see. So it's time to slow down and conserve energy, just like some animals, just like plants, just like fish. Everything is going a little slower. Clarity and release. It's a chance to see things as they are, right? That moon illuminates things in the darkness. We can release old burdens and close out the year's cycles, clear out the year's stuff and things, the sticky stuff. We can close that out. And this really coincides with the lessons of the fall that we were just talking about a couple weeks ago, that we can release and let that sticky stuff go. It's the stuff that's holding us back. We need to let it go, right? There's so many things we need to let go. Memo to me. Anyway, we also have communication and wisdom, right? And it's about balancing our intellect, that's the Gemini piece, with broader wisdom, which is Sag. Sagittarius, encouraging bold sharing of truths. There are some bold truths coming before the year's end, December 19th. That's 2 weeks. There's going to be some bold truth coming out then, and into the first cycle of 2026. There's a lot of things that are going to be happening. So hold on to your seat. Get ready. It's going to take our breath away at the depth and the scope of the corruption and grift that's going on right now and has been going on in the past. The stuff that we have seen exposed in the light this year has been mind numbing. It would have destroyed people years ago, but we're just kind of like, okay, but wait, it's going to be one hell of a year next year. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to catch us by surprise. And it's amazing that it's been hidden and swept under the rug. So we also have renewal. We've got a soft ending here that allows for trust in future renewal, like seeds waiting under the frozen ground. I've got some garlic in the wicking tubs, and I planted them in the fall. And of course, you're not going to see any shoots pop up. No, it is waiting. It is waiting in the cold for that spring. And I know that I am working on, and this is maybe too quietly and too slowly, on the renewal of the Small Scale Life podcast, right? I am planting those seeds into the ground for the podcast as well. And this year I've done a lot of thinking and planning. It's kind of putting those seeds in the ground. And now we're going to start to see them generate as I get going and get these episodes posted. So there's a lot of renewal going on here as well. There's an emotional intensity. Being a supermoon, emotions run high. It's calling for self-compassion and deep inner chats as we are reflecting and thinking about the past year. We can all be really hard on ourselves for failing to acting and failing, missing opportunities, or even burning a lot of resources on something that didn't bear fruit. It happens, right? We're going down the path. We're trying to do the best thing. We're trying to start something. We're trying to keep things going. And sometimes it feels like we're barely holding everything apart. So we put some duct tape over here and put some Gorilla Glue over there and put caulk in the cracks, and we're holding the dam back from breaking. And then everything falls apart anyway. So be gentle. We all are struggling with this kind of stuff, right? Whatever it is. But the things we can think about now and reflect on now is, what did we learn out of all this stuff? What did we learn out of the failure? What do we need to let go? Maybe we're holding on to something's too tight and it's never going to work out, and we're just kind of, it's okay to walk away, right? How can we flip the script, especially with toxic people, toxic situations? How can we do something different, disrupt the patterns? We all slipped into patterns, myself included. How can we flip the script? And what can we improve? You know, I'm trying to think about systems that I've set up here and that I'm setting up, and how can we improve them? How can we make less work? How can we be more successful with less effort? Wicking beds are one of those solutions, especially being so close to the water, right? You don't want to put a bunch of fertilizer, or even manure, or even high nutrient materials in your garden if it's just going to wash into the river, and then you're going to encourage algae and weed growth and maybe poison things, right? Herbicides, that's another thing to think about. What can we improve? How can we improve it? And does it always have to be this way? Does it always have to be done this way? Or does it always have to work out this way? Can we flip the script, right? So in a way, if you think about it, the December moon is a portal, a gateway to the slowdown season, which is now. It shares all the elements and deeper meanings of the slowdown season. And we've passed through that portal. So now it's time to reflect, rest, and recharge rather than race around like hamsters on a wheel. I mean, let's face it, modern Western culture wants us to be running, working, and being productive, generating stuff and profit and money for some faceless overlord from cradle to grave. But who wants to do that? Is that what life is all about? Think about that as I take another delicious drink of coffee. So I've been talking about this for years. really. It's something that as I climbed corporate ladders from being a young engineer at a consulting firm to eventually the boardroom as an assistant vice president, I have experienced some yuck in the boardroom, and even in the public sector, working on what was a $2 billion light rail project. Now it's probably a $4 billion light rail project. I've seen how the sausage is made on the leadership side on a massive public infrastructure project. And it's a lot of yuck. It's a lot of running, working, and being productive, generating stuff for some faceless overlord on the private side or the public side, and it's really interesting how our society, our civilization, our culture operates in eternal summer. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Well, that's a concept that, and I knew I was going to do this. Bear with me as I stall here and try to open up the book that I was really tuning into. Eternal summer. We are endlessly running from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Like in the summertime, we have a picnic. We go into here. We're going to take a hike. We're going to go to the lake. We're going to go to here. We're going to go there. It gets exhausting because we have so many things on our list that we want to do and can do. Nothing prohibits us. It's just time and resources, right? Otherwise, we are never stopping. We're never resting. We're just running out of fear of missing out or missing the party or not participating. So it's eternal summer. And that's one element of it. At the same time, we can eat whatever and whenever we want. So endlessly running is one thing. Then eating whatever we want, whenever we want, on demand is part of eternal summer as well. Think about it. Once upon a time, we could only eat what we had store in our pantry or in our root cellars. We did not have access to strawberries or pineapples in the deep, silent winter. It just didn't happen. Grocery stores have only been around since the 1940s or 50s. And before that, man, once the strawberries were done in June, you made your jams, you made your preserves. That's it. You're not going to get it in January. Getting an apple or an orange at Christmas in our stocking was a real treat. It was a big deal. And this is even back in the early 80s, right? It wasn't. It was different. It was not what we have right now, where everything is on demand and delivered tomorrow. Okay, hold on a second here. I'm trying to find the book that I was listening to here. It was by the gentleman who wrote Whole30, and he came out with his own book. He was divorced from his wife, and he was like off the grid for a while, and he was writing his own book. Man, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Dallas Hartwig. It's called The 4-Season Solution, and he really talks about this in his book, The Eternal Summer, and how we need to really level up with the cycles. We need to align with the cycles of the season, but we'll get to that in a second. So our activities, so we had running from thing to thing to thing, eating whatever we want, whenever we want. And then our activities, right? We used to align with the cycles of the season. We played certain sports at certain times of the year. Hockey was a winter thing. Soccer was a spring thing. Football was a fall thing. Baseball was a spring thing. We had periods of rest between them. Now we specialize and focus on one thing and do that 24/7, 365. That's our kids. So I'm thinking about traveling sports here, right? A great example was Ryan playing basketball. We loved it. We really enjoyed watching him play. He loved it. We all fell into the 24/7, 365 trap with it. He was doing traveling basketball in the summer. He had a fall and spring league. No, fall league with the high school, winter basketball with the high school, and then they did some kind of a spring league. And it was a lot. And it was constant. It was fun, but eventually Ryan burned out. There was never a break. It was constant on the go. And it was hard. It was hard for him. But this is the world we've set up. I mean, and I think really some of this was happening. It really wasn't when I was playing football in high school. We really didn't have that. I mean, there were some camps out there, but I was like, man, whatever. But it really amped up, especially with the Tiger Woods phenomenon and how he was always on, always playing. His dad was pushing him, and it really, and the Serena sisters, right? They were the same prodigies, and they were going through that same process. Eventually, it leads to burnout, though. Finally, I mean, you get sick of it, and then you throw up your hands and walk away from it. It happens to all of us. So, yeah, it's really interesting. And then our jobs and careers are built on endless summer, eternal summer, and infinite growth. Oh my God, the infinite growth, right? Everything is a straight line upward. We're starting here and we are going here, and profits are going to be amazing, right? And there is never a deviation from the straight line. To support the line, we get quotas, goals, assignments, projects all year long. There's no stopping the conveyor belt of demands at work. In fact, the quotas and goals only get bigger each year, and the assignments and projects layer and stack, all to support the infinite line of growth. And supporting the infinite growth. Bonuses, raises, all that is tied to infinite growth. And then what happens if you lose other employees, fellow employees, managers, people, due to firings, layoffs, or they just leave, they depart? Well, they don't support the line of infinite growth, but you do. So we see this play out in the public and private sectors as we get more assignments and more projects from workers who've departed, and they haven't been replaced and probably won't be replaced. We're seeing that even in the public sector, right? They took a deferred early retirement, the DERP, and they are gone. And we have a number of positions that are open. I don't know when they're going to get filled. We're in a hiring freeze. So more work for me, more work for my fellow workers, right? I covered Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa for years. Iowa, I shouldn't have been covering. It's in another district. But because we're light on staff, guess who went? Me. So finally we got a person, but oof, it was tough. It was really tough. And it's not just the public sector, it's the private sector too, right? Recent reports like this month, November, showed, and over the year, there was a record number of layoffs in November. And then there was 1.17 million layoffs in 2025 in America. We are asked to do exponentially more with less to support infinite growth. It's exhausting. I think we are exhausted, and it's not getting any better. Nature isn't like this, right? It's not infinite growth mode in nature. I mean, if it is infinite growth, there's something really, really wrong, right? Think of bacteria or mold or algae or diseases or cancer. Infinite growth until the host is dead, right? Or until it can't grow anymore. Nature moves more in cycles, from birth to maturity to harvest to death. Nothing is wasted. Everything is used. Even if that plant falls over dead, it's the bugs and beetles and worms, they break it down. The bacteria breaks it down into really rich soil. Energy is transformed and created into something else, right? So we've just witnessed changing cycles in real time here in the past 2 weeks. Like I was saying, we went from long sleeve t-shirts and sunny skies a couple weeks ago at deer camp to this bitter, bitter cold and snow and ice here at the landing. The transformation is still underway. The ice isn't thick enough to support humans like me. I'm not the lightest guy out there, but I checked yesterday afternoon. I stepped out near the island of lusciousness, and ice started to crack under me. So I wasn't going to stand there for long. I'm a cold plunge guy, but not in that. And there's more snow and cold on the way. We're going to have a big layer of ice. I think we're going to have a tough year this year. We're going to get a lot of snow. They said it constantly on Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. The winter solstice, Christmas, and my birthday are almost here, and winter is definitely coming. So as we observe nature, we see some creatures are very busy right now, foraging for food this time of year, right? I mean, they're not infinite growth. They're staying alive. You know, the birds, the deer, the squirrel, the fox, the wolves, the fish, and other animals are hunting and foraging. They're keeping busy doing that. And as the snows deepen and it gets colder, their survival will get harder. It's not infinite growth. It's not eternal summer. Some won't make it. That's part of the slowdown season as well. It's a cycle. So other creatures, if we look across nature, if we observe, we see other creatures have hunkered down and are hibernating right now. And the obvious example is the bear, right? These big, massive creatures. They find a nice, quiet spot, a dark spot, a cave, a pipe, a grotto, something. And they're underneath that, and they're hunkered down and hibernating. They've prepared for the slowdown season. They ate everything in sight. And they put on layers of fat to sustain them in the cold winter, and they found a nice place to sleep, rest, and conserve energy. Now, some of us have eaten everything in sight and continue to eat everything in sight during the holiday season. I have always gained 10 pounds during the slowdown season, and I'm not going to do it this year. But that is always a goal, right, for the early part of the new year, where we focus on all the things we ate and drank, and then we're trying to get rid of it. But yes, we are not the bear, but we could learn a lot from the bear. You know, the slowdown season is not about becoming a sleeping mass in a dark cave on a couch somewhere in our bed, but it is instead an opportunity to plan, to prepare, to study, learn, read, connect, practice, and develop. We can be incredibly productive this time of the year as we settle down in front of a fire or a cozy nest with a hot mug of cider, coffee, or chocolate. We can. A lot of things get planned out and set up this time of year. And I started a fire upstairs for Jules in her appointment, and she was actually saying, "Oh, it's a little too hot." Oh, it's awesome, though, to have a fireplace and watch the fires burn, and the wood is nicely seasoned and dry, and it goes and catches on fire just like that. It's just so great up there. But it's really cozy up there. It's really cozy. And it doesn't have to be a wood fire. It can be gas, and it can be electric. Downstairs we have this little almost like a buffet underneath our TV, and it's got a electric fireplace in it, and it's just nice to turn that on and see the fire, right? And I talked about this the last show too, when we gather around the hearth, and my sister-in-law, she turns on a YouTube channel, and it's got the bonfire or the fire in the fireplace in the back, and that's what she uses. I mean, we're just attracted to the fire, right? And it just makes it cozy. And I think if you look at other cultures like the Northern Europeans, right? The Danes, the Norwegians, the Swedes, those Nords, they are ahead of us and have developed a term for this, right? Because they have days where they don't see the sun, and it's the same up in Alaska. My friends Jay and Andrea up there, they moved up there, and they're going to experience this, the midnight sun, right? It's just midnight. It's just dark for 24 hours, right? So what the Nords did is they developed this thing called hygge, right? I mean, it looks like hygge, but it's hygge. And it's this concept that emphasizes comfort, coziness, and contentment by enjoying simple pleasures and the present moment, right? It's about creating that warm atmosphere and fostering well-being through activities like spending quality time with loved ones, enjoying good food and drink, and creating a soothing environment, often by dimming lights or lighting candles. Doesn't sound awesome? And it's about feeling present, relaxed, and at peace, not running around to endless tournaments or going to work on the weekend to meet the goals at the end of the year. I know I've done this, right? But you'll notice that the hustle muscle, win at any cost, sprint to success, Western culture, or McDonald's with the filet of fish is the exact opposite of all this, right? I mean, we see that hygge lifestyle as part of a luxurious vacation where we can just unplug and relax. But have you noticed, even when you go on vacation, we are trying to pack 50 pounds of activities in a 2-pound bag. I like to say 50 pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag. Sorry for the little ones in the car. But we try to schedule our vacations and run it like we run our lives. We don't turn that Western culture off very well. And when we see the Europeans that have a month off in the summer, and then they do the hygge in the winter, and they have the holidays, and they have Christmas villages and stuff, we see those folks as lazy or lethargic or slothful or, oh, must be nice. Well, they set it up that way. We could set it up that way. Maybe we should, right? I mean, you're going to squeeze the stone for more blood? Maybe we should check out a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. So they're doing some things right. And perhaps we need to look at our own reflection in the mirror and look inward. What is that high stress, on the go, never satisfied lifestyle getting us anyway? The answer is headaches, migraines, high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, strokes, heart attacks. We're too stressed to connect with each other or others outside our four walls, and we collapse into mindless entertainment, drinking, drugs, or other escape mechanisms, endless scrolling, TV, all that stuff. We like zone out because we're so exhausted. So we can do some things where we can embrace the slowdown season. There's some practical ways to embrace the slowdown season, right? So how do we do that? So to do that, there's physical, mental, emotional, social, creative, and spiritual ways to embrace the season. So here are some of those ways. Physically, one of our favorite topics, declutter and winterize intentionally. So Jules and I have talked extensively about minimalism over the years as we've moved 13 times in 31 years and acquired materials and stuff from different houses and different projects. I mean, we folded in 3 or 4 houses into households into our stuff, and then we had to make decisions and get rid of stuff, give it away, sell it, throw it away, but figure out a place, right? It's a constant battle. And we have a series of episodes about minimalism on Small Scale Life podcast. It's dark and cold outside for a lot. I mean, it gets dark early, right? 4:30, 4 o'clock, it's dark. So why not turn inward and get rid of the extra stuff, right? Just start small. Get rid of, take one drawer and look at it and say, do you use that weird thing in the kitchen? No. See ya. It's gone. Start small, right? Your closet's probably a good one too. Yes. So take a look at minimalism. And we've got a number of shows here in the Small Scale Life podcast. And I'll try to put links in the show notes for you on smallscalelife.com. So another one, keep meals simple, warming, and in season. This is another one that Dallas Hartwig talked about a lot too, is the food component and how we just living in eternal summer. We're not focusing on, things that are in season and telling our bodies that, we're in a different cycle. And this is where we can mimic what our ancestors ate, right? This includes things that were put up in the root cellar or the pantry, like meat, root vegetables, stews, and soups, right? The things that are going to last in that root cellar down there. And it's a perfect time to use that crock pot to slow cook savory and hearty meals. We had some turkey wild rice soup after Thanksgiving, and man, was it good. It just is warm, it's yummy, tastes great. It was awesome, and it lasted us a week. And that's another way we can hedge it too, is think bigger. We're thinking individual meals. Is there a way we can cook one thing and then use parts in 2 or 3 or 4 meals? That's a good way to hedge costs too, is just, yes, that ham is going to be $25. But if it lasts us for 4 days, the cost starts to, it's a couple dollars per day, $4 per day for 4 days, 5 days, maybe $5, $6. Hey, try to go get a Subway sandwich or a Jimmy John sandwich for $6, right? It's tough to do. So look at keeping meals simple, warming, and in season. mentally and emotionally. Okay, let's talk about some of these things. I've talked about it once. I'm going to talk about it a million times. Keeping a journal, right? I have talked about it, I think, in every Small Scale Life podcast episode since starting recording again in November, because it is such a useful tool. It helps get the clutter and emotion out of our head and onto a piece of paper. And for me, writing and journaling helps get that clarity, helps me sort out ideas. Doesn't have to be wild and crazy. Hold on a second here. Two of my journals. One, I got this one from Jules a few years ago, and I've got all kinds of notes and ideas and things in here. And then I keep another one too. You know, this one is good. This, I showed this last time. This is our little shoreline journal. So this is what's happening at the landing. Almost every day I can write a note or two about what's happening in our backyard and what's happening in the water, and just kind of, it's it's born out of the farm journal idea. And that way you can kind of keep track of when things happen and what's happening out there. Pause for a minute as a dove is coming into the big bird buffet. That's why I shut the shades. So yeah, it really helps keep a record of where my brain is at, what's happening out there in the world, and what cool things, what ideas are coming up, and what cool things we can implement. Reflecting and developing a gratitude practice is another one. And again, this goes hand in hand with journaling. So reflecting helps us understand what went well and what didn't. And we can develop the plans and strategies to help us cope and respond to similar issues in the future. Sometimes we just don't pick up on it. We don't act the way we'd like to. And then the moment's gone and we're like, dang it, I wish I would have said this, or wish I would have done that. And then just writing that down, it's a lesson, right? And we're creating a little lesson plan, things that we experience. And, the good thing about gratitude is that we appreciate the people and the places and the things that we encounter on the path in our journey, right? I've said this a bunch on the older episodes of Small Scale Life podcast. It's hard to have a bad day when you start it with gratitude. And I've recorded, again, several episodes about gratitude on the Small Scale Life podcast. It's an important part of, I think it's an important part of development and growth as you're thinking bigger than just you. You're thinking about more than just you. I'm grateful for Joe because he helped me with moving in 2023. He's been a great friend to Ryan, and he was a great friend to Danny, and really helped Danny see things a little differently. I'm grateful for Joe and his dog Stanley that took a big poop in my house near the kitchen last Thanksgiving. It makes for a great story. Hence on the Small Scale Life podcast. Love you, Stanley. But it's great, you can think about these things, and be grateful for them, because yes, it was like, what the heck at the time, but it's really funny now. So, and it was funny because Joe sent me a snap and it was Happy Thanksgiving. It was a picture of Stanley, and I was like, oh, good one. I love it. Awesome. Fun. And here's another one that we can do, right? So we had keeping a journal, reflecting and developing a gratitude practice. Third one, reducing digital noise. This one hits home. This is in my hand or my pocket all the time. I was looking at my analytics for how long it was on my phone last week, and it went up a little bit. So, I really worked hard to reduce the time I spend watching TV. Jules and I do watch a little TV. It's usually a home improvement show or something, right? Although we've been watching The Blacklist, and that's always a good one. It's a good show. But while I've reduced the time on TV, I do spend time on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Those are the four horsemen, if you will, right? And while I wish I could tell you that I'm working on content for Small Scale Life or Tommy Cake's Birdseed, that would be kind of a lie. I do fall into doom scrolling at times, especially at night, and it is a mindless form of escape for me. But by reducing the digital noise, we could be fully present and focus on things around us. Okay. So, so if we reduce that digital noise, we can be more present and get some other things done. So that's going to be a goal for 2026. We'll see. Oh gosh. So socially, another category, socially. One thing that those folks do is they do gather and they tell stories and they have chocolate and hot chocolate and all the good things. And so really one of the key points here is having meaningful gatherings over obligatory ones, right? There are some gatherings that bring a lot of joy and laughter and stories, and games are being played and good food and good drink. And just, it's awesome, right? The things you want to do, the things that it should be. And then there's the other gatherings that are miserable and generate a lot of deep emotions and scars. Or God, just going to the company party. Ugh. Watching the vice president get hammered. Ugh, right? So the thing we need to remember this year is you get to decide. You decide whether you go and participate or not. And it's okay to not participate, protect your peace, and just say no. No. Nope, got something else going on. Sorry. So dump the toxic people, dump the toxic places, and gather with people you truly enjoy and love. It's okay. You can blame some far off podcaster for not attending. I don't know who that is. I give you permission. Don't go. If it's not bringing you joy, kick it to the curb. Hand in hand with meaningful gatherings over obligatory ones is boundary setting. Oy. And this hits home. Some people really take advantage of others because there are no boundaries in place. They've gotten their way for years. And while being nice and pleasing people can show love and are acts of kindness, some people are just ruthless and expect that you will bow, kneel, and serve whenever asked and whatever the task is. You'll just do it, right? It's the curse of a nice person, the people pleaser. And then boundaries are something that help establish what can and will be done, how it will be done, what the expectations are. Boundaries are good things. Failing to establish the boundaries can lead to some terrible outcomes and create deep emotional scars. Ask me how I know. Now is a good time to remember to set boundaries and tell that narcissist, no, nope, nope, nope. The gods know I've been good about setting boundaries this year, and they know that I've been bad about boundaries this year. I'm still working on it. I've not perfected it. And yeah, we just ran into that. So yay. The thing you have to remember is something my therapist told me is they'll still love you, right? If you say no, it's not like you've thrown them under the bus or pushed them in front of a train or something. They'll still love you. It's just they're not going to get their way today. And that's okay. They need to learn that lesson. So think about that. Reflect on that a little bit, right? Dump the toxic people, dump the toxic places, dump the toxic activities. So creativity. Here we go. 1, engaging in slow, grounding hobbies. You know, the short, cold days allow for people to develop skills and explore new hobbies. I have been a man of many, many, many hobbies, but I'm settling in on a few that I really enjoy. Time, money, effort all come into play here, but exploring some slow, grounded hobbies, and I mean some, like making birdseed cakes in 2024, right? Can take you in some interesting directions, open you up to a whole new community. Of course, you need to remember not every hobby needs to be turned into a business and monetized. Oops, too late for Tommy cakes. But this one was a good one that I really enjoy. So yes, there are a lot of hobbies out there. I mean, just something simple like tying flies for fly fishing or carving. carving a piece of wood or painting or crocheting or knitting. I mean, there's some cool stuff out there, right? There's some really low key, low impact stuff that's just fun. So engage in that. Take up a hobby. You should never hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm bored." There's plenty to do. You just need to expand your horizons a little bit. Of course, here's another one for your creativity. You need to decide on which projects can go forward and which can wait. I kind of flip this into home improvement projects, but it goes into hobby projects as well. You can't do everything. There's not enough time, money, and resources to do everything. There used to be a 7-Up commercial that said, Leon can't do everything. Right. We can't do everything. I've got a list of home improvement projects. I've got a list of tasks for Small Scale Life. Got another list for Tommy Cake's Birdseed. Jules has her lists for her 2 businesses. And the slowdown season, the season right now, is a great time to prioritize all of these tasks and start working on them or putting them on the back burner. Start them one at a time, not all at once. You'll be overwhelmed. It's a game of inches, right? But over a season, you'll be surprised how far you've come. I was really surprised by this because I hung up, a great example is I hung up 2 birdhouses on the maples in the backyard. And, I should have hung them from chains or something, but I just, put a screw in, I put a tab on, and then I hung the bird feeder. After a couple months, it was interesting because I went out there and the bird feeders were kind of hanging, or the birdhouses were hanging kind of wonky. I was like, what the heck? What's going on with that? And then I waited just a couple more weeks, and then the birdhouses were on the ground. Birds had already been hatched. There was nobody in the birdhouses. The wrens had been in and out and did their thing, had their babies, and away they went. And I went over there to look at the screws, and the tree had grown, and what was, this big was now this big, and the screw was not even, there was no room between the head of the screw and the bark. It had grown almost around the screw. So it's amazing how far it had come. And it's just little increments at a time. And eventually that birdhouse fell off. So I've got to figure out a new plan for my birdhouses for next year, and that's totally fine. So it's a game of inches, right? Little bits at a time. Spiritually, let's talk about this a little bit. So quiet winter is a sacred time, right? I mean, there is magic in the air. Magic in the air. Think about going to a beautiful cathedral with all the Christmas stuff, or a beautiful church, with a little white church in the snow, right? With the stained glass windows all lit up, or anything like that. It's really beautiful. It's when we're at our best, right? And at the same time, the veil is very thin. Maybe you've heard that before. The veil is very thin in the fall and the winter. I think part of that is the veil is what the veil is between the living and the other side. I think the veil is what it is, but we're slowing down, right? We're slowing down and being intentional, and it's cold outside and we're not just running around. And then the messages come through, or the feelings come through. It's at the same time, we're slowing down. So this is a chance to explore our faith and connect with the other side. It's time to do some research and reading, and it's taking it slow and feeling into things, not just doing it all at once. So I think that faith and spirituality can be very empowering and enlightening. It has been for me. It's changed my course, my path. And frankly, I believe that organized religions, and some of you are just going to say, oh my God, dude, really? Organized religions can turn you into pretzel with their faith gymnastics and purity spiraling. But faith and spirituality shouldn't be that complicated, right? It shouldn't be. So shedding some of the spiritual abuse through the dogma that I was subjected to, I've been on a different path in it, and that's been empowering and enlightening for me. And I've found something that I can connect with, and for me, it feels like coming home. It's something that's familiar. It's programmed deep in there. So as part of slowdown season, I'm going to be putting some practices in place and that are new for us, but date back thousands of years before Christ. Stillness is a fertile time for renewal. and it's a fertile time to explore these things. So do what you need to do, and if you don't want to, totally fine, cool, all good. I'm just doing what I'm going to be doing. So yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting. So now is also a good time for stories, for family, for traditions. So many of us have lost connections to our past, family traditions, our ancestors. Things have been forgotten or never passed on to the younger generations. And I believe Americanization through aggressive consumerism was designed to wipe our slates clean and make us boring shades of gray clay, ready to be molded into whatever shape they wanted us to be. We're just gray clay consumerists, right? We buy, we use, we discard, and buy new again. It isn't even worth it to fix something that's broken. It's cheaper just to buy the new thing, and it's designed that way, right? And it's not good enough, right? There's a whole rich history and past out there waiting for us. All we need to do is gather with some folks who are older than us, have them tell stories. Maybe we record those and explore some traditions from our past ancestors, right? Or we go out and research. There's a lot of societies and groups out there, and explore what used to happen over in Poland, what happened in Germany, what are some of the foods, what can we incorporate some of those, and what happened in Czechoslovakia, some of these things, we can incorporate those into our current traditions instead of just, drinking a bunch of wine, going to bed on Christmas Eve, waking up, presents, woohoo, okay, ready for work tomorrow. I mean, right? Have it be a more rich and exciting experience, right? We can bake some cookies from an ancient recipe or an old recipe, or make a meal that really connects in and grounds us in. So, maybe we'll discover some long lost part of us that unlocks something magical and empowering. You never know until you explore it. And if nothing else, like I said, we are not going to be just a gray clay consumerist. We're going to be a little more interesting and unique. And that, my friends, is a good thing. So, like I said, December moon is a gateway to the slowdown season. We've stepped through that portal and we're on the other side. We've stepped through the gateway. So allowing ourselves to slow down begins to create a sustainable and intentional life. And don't we want more of that? Yes. Aren't we exhausted of being sick, stressed out, and tired? Aren't we tired of being sick and tired? I think we are. So, if you want to think about this a little bit, you can head over to Small Scale Life and read the article. I'm going to post all of this that I wrote out. It's a long one, so grab your cup of coffee as you read it. For those of you who want a hard copy, I will cut out the practical ways to embrace the slowdown season into a downloadable PDF. You can get a copy and read that. I'll put that on our Substack, and you can subscribe for free and read it there. So yes, I'm going to start getting out an email, all the things that I need to do, right? But yes, we'll have an email list going and things on the Substack. So we also have the Facebook group. We can chat in there. And like starting up this podcast effort again, right? We can't do everything all at once and be successful at it. At least I can't, obviously. I haven't posted any of the new episodes yet. I need to get my butt moving on that. So we take it in little pieces. Trying to do everything all at once just leads to anxiety and being overwhelmed, and then you don't start anything. So a journey of 1,000,000 miles in a more sustainable, intentional life, more interesting life, begins with a single step. So try one thing. The challenge this week is to take one of these practical ways to embrace the slowdown season and slow down and try it. Take one and try. Just one, not all. Some of you are high achievers. Don't do that. Just one. And let me know how it goes. So you can send me an email at realsmallscalelife@gmail.com. That's realsmallscalelife@gmail.com. You can join us at the Small Scale Life Podcast Facebook group. You can join up on Substack, where we'll have the list of those things. And we'll go from there. Remember to learn, do, grow, be a little better every day. You start the cycle by embracing the slowdown season, right? Start this week, just one thing. And with that, my friends, I hope you've been well. I'm going to check the notes here. Has anybody popped in? Probably not. It's been an hour. Woohoo. So remember, head over to Tommy Cake Seed, get some bird seed creations for your backyard birdies. I got to check out my birdies and see how they're doing. And I hope you have a great week. And we'll see you, I think, on Wednesday. I think I can get another one up on Wednesday. But this was a big one. This is a big one to really take and digest. So it's been an hour. And thank you for checking in. So everybody, have a great week. See you later. Take care, everybody.